Have you ever stood in your own kitchen and felt like a stranger, wondering if the simple choice of which oil to use could be the difference between a mind that stays sharp and one that slowly fades?
For Brenda, it began with the cinnamon, a recipe she'd known by heart for 50 years. Her mother's apple cake suddenly felt like a foreign language. She stood there, a teaspoon in her hand, the scent of the spice filling the air, but her mind was a complete blank. It wasn't just forgetting, it was a thick, grey fog that rolled in without warning, erasing a path she could have walked blindfolded. That day, the cake went unbaked, and for the first time, Brenda felt a cold whisper of fear about something happening inside her own head, a quiet fraying of the wires that held her most cherished memories. It was the fear that her own choices, day after day, were silently, invisibly, increasing her risk of a stroke, of her mind losing its way. Brenda wasn't just a baker of cakes. She was the family's living library, the keeper of stories, the one who remembered which grandchild was allergic to strawberries and the date of every single birthday. Her mind was her pride. It was sharp, organized, and clear, a beautifully tended garden. But now, weeds of confusion were starting to appear. At her weekly bridge game, she'd miss a crucial bid, her mind wandering off mid-play, leaving her friends to cast worried glances. Driving to the grocery store, a route she'd taken 1,000 times, she'd make a wrong turn, a wave of panic washing over her, until the familiar landmark reappeared. These weren't just senior moments. They felt like betrayals, her own brain conspiring against the very essence of who she was. The small failures began to stack up, each one a tiny chip at her confidence. One afternoon, she found the milk in the pantry. She laughed it off, but the laugh didn't reach her eyes. Another day, she was telling her daughter a story about her childhood, and right in the middle, the thread of the narrative vanished. She just stopped, her mouth slightly open, the rest of the sentence lost in the fog. The worst was the silence that followed that moment of shared, unspoken worry in her daughter's eyes. Each instance was a reminder that the garden of her mind was being quietly overtaken, and she felt powerless to stop it. That evening, after another frustrating bridge game, she sat in the quiet of her kitchen. The half-empty teacup was cold in her hands. There was no one to perform for, no one to reassure. And in that solitary stillness, a single devastating thought surfaced with chilling clarity. Who will I be when all the stories are gone? It wasn't a fear of dying. It was a fear of disappearing while she was still alive, of becoming a ghost in her own home, a collection of forgotten recipes and lost memories. Her eyes fell upon her grandmother's cast iron skillet hanging by the stove. It was heavy, seasoned with decades of family meals, a symbol of resilience and nourishment. She thought of her grandmother, a woman who lived to be 98, with a mind as clear as a bell. What was her secret? It certainly wasn't crossword puzzles. It was simple, whole food, cooked with intention. And a new thought, small but defiant, took root. What if the battlefield for my brain isn't in a doctor's office, but right here, in my own pantry? The thought didn't erase the fear, but it ignited a flicker of agency. It was a shift from what is happening to me, to what can I do. It didn't happen overnight. It started with one small change, then another. She started reading labels, questioning the oils she cooked with, the spreads she used. She rediscovered the simple joy of real butter, used sparingly, and the rich flavor of olive oil. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the fog began to lift. It wasn't a miracle, it was a reclamation. One afternoon, she baked the apple cake, the recipe flowing from memory as effortlessly as a song. At her next bridge game, she played with a clarity and confidence she hadn't felt in years. She wasn't just playing cards, she was reclaiming her seat at the table of her own life. Brenda's story is a powerful reminder that we are not helpless bystanders in our own health journey. The path to protecting our brain, to keeping our minds sharp and our memories intact, doesn't always require a prescription. Sometimes, it starts with a simple, conscious choice in the kitchen. You might be thinking that your habits are too set, or that it's all too complicated. But what if the most powerful tools for defending your brain have been sitting in your pantry all along, waiting to be understood?
What if some of the foods you believe are healthy are quietly contributing to that brain fog? And what if some of the fats you've been told to fear for decades are actually essential building blocks for a resilient mind? We're about to uncover the 5 types of fat that can put your brain at serious risk, and then reveal the 5 healing fats that can help you stay sharp, steady, and strong for years to come. We've ranked them from the more commonly known to the truly surprising. You absolutely must stay for our final revelation because it turns a piece of common dietary advice completely on its head. And it might just be the most important secret for your long-term brain health. If you're ready to take control of your cognitive destiny, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're on this journey together. And just a quick important reminder, all the information shared today is for educational purposes. Everyone's health situation is unique, so please consult your doctor or healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet or health regimen. Let's use this knowledge to have informed discussions with them. All right, let's start by clearing out the clutter. Our first insight looks at a common resident in the American diet that, in excess, can create a traffic jam in your arteries. Insight number 10. The trouble with saturated fats. The hook is simple: that juicy steak, that rich butter on your morning toast, that irresistible strip of bacon. They taste like comfort, like tradition, but the problem is that when consumed in excess, these foods, high in saturated fats, can be unkind to your arteries. Health experts often highlight that a diet overloaded with saturated fat can raise the levels of LDL cholesterol, the kind doctors call bad cholesterol. Now, why is that a problem for your brain? To truly grasp this, let's use an analogy. Imagine the blood vessels leading to your brain are like a network of clean, wide-open highways, allowing vital oxygen and nutrients to travel at top speed. Eating too much saturated fat is like having a fleet of slow, sticky garbage trucks constantly on those highways. They start to clog the lanes, narrowing the space for traffic to flow. Over time, this buildup, called plaque, can lead to a complete traffic jam, a clot that causes a stroke. It means less oxygen, less fuel for your brain cells, and a higher risk for serious trouble. A major review in the British Medical Journal showed that replacing just 5% of your daily calories from saturated fat with healthier fats could reduce your risk of stroke by nearly 20%. Therefore, this isn't about eliminating these foods entirely. It's about balance. Instead of cooking your eggs in bacon grease, try a drizzle of olive oil. Choose a leaner cut of meat, or maybe enjoy a meatless Monday. These small shifts keep the highways to your brain clear and flowing smoothly, but clearing the road is only half the battle. Next, we need to talk about the premium fuel your brain loves to run on. Insight number 9, the power of monounsaturated fats. If saturated fats are the garbage trucks, think of monounsaturated fats as the street sweepers. These are the heart-healthy, brain-friendly fats you find in abundance in foods like olive oil, avocados, almonds, and cashews. The conflict for many people is the idea that fat is fat. For years, we were told to avoid it all. But science is increasingly telling us that the type of fat matters immensely. Monounsaturated fats have a special talent. They have been shown to help lower the bad LDL cholesterol while simultaneously increasing HDL cholesterol, the good kind. Here's the analogy. The HDL cholesterol is like a team of dedicated recycling trucks. They travel along your arterial highways, pick up the sticky LDL cholesterol that's been left behind, and carry it away to be processed. This cleanup crew action is vital for keeping your blood vessels flexible and clear. When blood flows freely, your brain gets the steady supply of oxygen it needs to support sharp thinking and reduce your stroke risk. In fact, a long-term study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people with diets rich in monounsaturated fats had significantly lower rates of stroke and memory loss over time. As a result, making simple swaps can have a profound impact. Try snacking on a handful of almonds instead of chips. Add a few slices of avocado to your sandwich. Making extra virgin olive oil your primary cooking oil is one of the most powerful and delicious changes you can make for your brain. Now, let's turn to a well-known villain, a man-made fat that does double damage to your brain health. Insight number 8, the dangers of trans fats and hydrogenated oils. You'll find these lurking in many of your favorite convenience foods: crispy fried chicken, many brands of margarine and shortening, packaged cookies, and those fluffy pastries that seem to last forever on the shelf. These are trans fats, created through a process called hydrogenation, which turns liquid oils into solid fats to give foods a longer shelf life. But while they extend the life of the product, they can shorten the health of your brain. These fats are particularly dangerous because they deliver a devastating one-two punch. First, like saturated fats, they raise your bad LDL cholesterol. But they don't stop there. They also lower your good HDL cholesterol. Think of it this way. In our highway analogy, this is like adding more garbage trucks to the road while simultaneously firing half of the cleanup crew. It's a recipe for disaster, creating the perfect conditions for inflammation, plaque buildup, and clots. Research in the journal Circulation has linked diets high in these fats to a significantly increased risk of ischemic stroke, the kind caused by a blockage. Therefore, the most important action you can take is to become a label detective. Look for the words partially hydrogenated oil. If you see that on an ingredient list, put the product back on the shelf. Choose natural spreads like avocado or nut butters, and whenever possible, opt for whole fresh foods over processed ones. Your brain will thank you for keeping this toxic traffic off its vital supply lines. So we've talked about a fat to avoid. Now let's talk about another essential fat your body needs but can't make on its own. Insight number 7. The quiet strength of polyunsaturated fats. This is another team of fats that work diligently behind the scenes to protect your brain. You'll find them in foods like walnuts and sunflower seeds, and in oils like flaxseed oil and soybean oil. The issue is, many people don't know the specific role these fats play. They are essential, meaning you must get them from your diet. Their main job is to support overall cardiovascular health, which is directly tied to brain health. When your heart is working efficiently, your brain reaps the rewards. Polyunsaturated fats help lower total cholesterol and triglycerides in the blood. To understand why this is important, imagine your bloodstream is a river. High triglycerides are like a thick sludge in that river, making it harder for the water to flow and for boats, carrying oxygen and nutrients, to reach their destination. Polyunsaturated fats act like a natural clearing agent, helping to thin out that sludge and improve the river's flow. A study in the journal Stroke that followed adults over 60 found that those with higher intakes of polyunsaturated fats had a lower risk of developing blood clots and arterial narrowing. This translates directly to better memory retention and more mental clarity as we age. As a result, it's easy to include them in your day. Drizzle flaxseed oil over steamed vegetables, or sprinkle a handful of walnuts or sunflower seeds on your oatmeal or yogurt. These small additions add up to a big benefit, a clearer, stronger brain. But there's a catch with this family of fats. It's all about balance, which brings us to a very surprising health secret. Insight number 6. The hidden danger of omega-6 imbalance. This is a crucial insight that often gets overlooked. Omega-6 fatty acids, found in many common vegetable oils like corn, soybean, and sunflower oil, are technically essential. Your body does need them. But here is the conflict. The modern American diet has created a massive imbalance. We consume far too many omega-6s and not nearly enough omega-3s. This ratio is critically important. Ideally, it should be around 4:1 or even 2:1 omega-6 to omega-3. Today, for many people, it's closer to 20:1. Why is this so dangerous? Think of your body's inflammation system as a campfire. A little bit of inflammation is good. It's like a small controlled fire that helps your body heal from an injury. Omega-3s are like the water you sprinkle on the fire to keep it in check. Omega-6s in excess are like gasoline. When you have a 20:1 ratio, you are constantly pouring gasoline on the fire. This creates chronic low-grade inflammation throughout your body, especially in your blood vessels. This constant inflammation damages the lining of your arteries, making them sticky and prone to plaque buildup, dramatically increasing stroke risk. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found a direct link between a high omega-6 to omega-3 ratio and higher markers of inflammation. Therefore, the goal isn't to eliminate omega-6s, but to bring them back into balance by reducing your intake of processed foods and refined vegetable oils. And the best way to do that is to actively increase your intake of their healing counterpart. Insight number 5. The healing power of omega-3s. This brings us to the hero of our story, omega-3 fatty acids. These are the fats your brain is literally made of and desperately craves. You'll find them in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, as well as in walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. These fats are the ultimate peacemakers in your body. They are powerfully anti-inflammatory, directly counteracting the damaging effects of excess omega-6s. Let's go back to our campfire analogy. If omega-6s are the gasoline, omega-3s are the steady, calming rain that extinguishes the out-of-control flames. They soothe the inflammation in your blood vessels, help keep your blood flowing smoothly, and even make blood platelets less sticky, which reduces the risk of clots forming. The journal Stroke, published by the American Heart Association, highlighted a study of over 70,000 people which found that those who regularly ate omega-3 rich fish had a significantly lower risk of stroke. What's more, these fats are a key structural component of your brain cell membranes. They keep your brain cells flexible and help them communicate effectively. Aiming for fatty fish twice a week, or adding a tablespoon of ground flaxseed or chia seeds to your daily routine, is a direct investment in a sharper, more resilient brain. Now, let's look at a very specific form of bad cholesterol that is more dangerous than you think. Insight number 4. The threat of oxidized LDL. We've talked about LDL as bad cholesterol, but the story is more nuanced than that. LDL becomes particularly dangerous when it gets oxidized. The best analogy for oxidized LDL is rust. Normal LDL cholesterol particles float through your bloodstream without much issue. But when they are damaged by processes like inflammation or exposure to toxins, they rust. And this rusted, oxidized LDL is incredibly sticky. It doesn't just float by, it latches onto your artery walls, triggering more inflammation and acting as a seed for plaque to grow. Where does this come from? One of the biggest sources is eating foods fried in reused oil, the kind often found in fast food restaurants, where the same oil is heated again and again until it's dark and degraded. It can also form from old animal fats that have been stored for too long. A study in the journal Atherosclerosis made a startling discovery. People with higher levels of oxidized LDL had a significantly greater risk of stroke and cognitive decline, even when their total cholesterol numbers looked normal. This means it's not just about the quantity of cholesterol but the quality. Therefore, one of the most powerful things you can do is avoid deep-fried fast foods and cook at home with fresh oils whenever possible. Additionally, eating antioxidant-rich foods like berries, leafy greens, and green tea helps protect your LDL cholesterol from rusting in the first place. Next up, a fascinating type of fat that your brain can use for instant, clean energy. Insight number 3. The unique fuel of MCTs. Let's talk about a special kind of fat you may not hear about often, medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs. These are found most abundantly in coconut oil. What makes them so unique is how your body processes them. Unlike most fats, which are long-chain and have to go through a complex digestive process, MCTs are sent directly to the liver and are immediately converted into energy, specifically ketones. To truly grasp this, let's use an analogy. Imagine your brain typically runs on energy that's like crude oil. It's effective, but it needs a lot of refining and can be a bit dirty. MCTs, on the other hand, are like high-octane, clean-burning jet fuel. They provide a quick, efficient source of energy that your brain can use immediately, which is a huge benefit as our metabolism naturally slows with age. Studies in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience have shown that MCTs may help improve cognitive function in people with mild memory issues. They also help reduce oxidative stress, that internal rust we just talked about. Think of MCTs as a gentle spark plug for your brain. Using a teaspoon of virgin coconut oil in your morning smoothie or for light cooking can give your brain access to this remarkable fast-burning fuel. Just remember, like all fats, moderation is key. Now we're approaching our final 2 secrets, and this next one reveals a trick on food labels that could be silently harming your health. Insight number 2. The zero trans fat deception. This is a critical piece of information that many people miss. We've already discussed the dangers of hydrogenated oils and trans fats. But what happens when you pick up a product that proudly says 0G trans fat on the front? Here's the loophole. In the United States, manufacturers are allowed to claim zero trans fat if the product contains less than 0.5 grams per serving. The conflict is obvious. Who eats just one serving of crackers or just one cookie? If you have multiple servings, or you eat multiple different products with these trace amounts throughout the day, those less than half a gram servings can add up quickly to a very damaging amount. This is not a mistake, it's a marketing strategy. To understand the danger, imagine you have a severe allergy to bee stings. A single bee sting is dangerous. But a label that says contains 0 bees, when it actually contains just under half a bee per serving, is deeply misleading and still puts you at risk. Therefore, you must ignore the front of the box and become an ingredient list expert. The only way to be sure is to check for partially hydrogenated oil in the ingredients. If it's there, the product contains trans fat. No matter what the nutrition label claims, this single habit of checking the ingredient list is one of the most important secrets to truly protecting your brain from these hidden harmful fats. And now, for our final game-changing revelation. It involves a nutrient found in a food that many of us over 60 were taught to fear for most of our lives. Revelation number 1. The brain-building power of phospholipids. We have finally arrived at our most important insight. For decades, we were told that egg yolks were bad for us, that they were loaded with cholesterol and would clog our arteries. But what if the yolk was actually the most important part of the egg for your brain? Egg yolks, along with soybeans, are one of the richest sources of a special class of fats called phospholipids. These aren't just for energy. They are the literal building blocks of your brain's cell membranes. Here is the most powerful analogy of all. Imagine your brain is a massive, incredibly complex city. Your brain cells or neurons are the houses and buildings. The electrical signals that carry your thoughts and memories are the power lines connecting everything. Phospholipids are the high-quality insulation that coats every single one of those wires. Without strong, flexible insulation, the signals short-circuit, they get lost, and the whole city's communication network breaks down. This is what happens as we age, that protective coating can begin to degrade. Research published in the journal Nutrients has found that phospholipids, particularly a type called phosphatidylserine, can help improve memory, attention, and mood in older adults. They help keep your mental gears turning smoothly. Therefore, the advice to toss out the yolk and only eat egg whites may have been one of the biggest disservices to the long-term brain health of an entire generation. By embracing the whole egg, especially from pasture-raised sources, you are giving your brain the exact raw materials it needs to repair itself and maintain its structure. It's not about a fancy supplement. It's about returning to a simple, nourishing whole food that your brain is designed to use. And there you have it, our game-changing revelation number 1. It turns old, outdated advice on its head and shows that the very thing we were told to avoid might be one of the best things we can eat to protect our precious memories. We've covered a lot of ground today, from understanding the danger of a high omega-6 imbalance to uncovering the zero trans fat deception, all the way to our final revelation about the brain-building power of phospholipids in egg yolks. Each one is a stepping stone to a more vibrant, resilient mind. Which of these insights resonated with you the most? Was it the idea of MCTs as jet fuel for your brain, or perhaps our ultimate game changer about the power of phospholipids? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please share them in the comments below. If you found this journey valuable, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps others find our community. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more powerful strategies tailored for our health. Until next time, stay curious and take wonderful care of that amazing brain of yours.